Alright, it's day 5, I think, of the head gasket job. Yeah, so I just got back into the garage. It's a whole lot colder today. I mean, it's still 45 degrees in here, but outside it's like 0 or more, less. I don't know. Anyway, this morning I spent time going over the factory service manual and familiarizing myself with the process of everything from here on out. So I also brought my computer, so I have the factory service manual here in the garage with me as I need it. I brought a few other things as well. So I brought some newspaper and some plastic bags and stuff to label bolts with, because there's some bolts under here that are all different sizes. I don't want to mix them up, and so I'm gonna bag up all those ones. I know what ones go in the front plate, and so I'm not worried about that when I get my replacements. But yeah, I think the first thing I'm going to start with is just removing the exhaust manifold and dropping that down. That's kind of one of the things that I started doing yesterday while I was waiting for my Dremel to charge. And so I'm going to start with that, and then I will set this to top dead center and start pulling it all apart. Hopefully it should go pretty... It should be pretty straightforward now. That's always the hope anyway. But yeah, here we go. So I was able to get the exhaust off. It's just hanging down a couple of inches off the studs now. Got some brake cleaner in my eye, which is always a good time. I got a dirty camera lens, which is also fun. And I got it set to top dead center. So basically what you want to do is just set all of the timing marks facing up. The cams, the crank, all of those timing marks just facing up, and you're at top dead center. On these ones you have the key lock, or the keyway that sticks up on the exhaust cams, and on this one there's a timing mark. There's an arrow facing up, and actually this one isn't facing up, but all of the rest of them are facing up, so that's what I'm going to go off of. And there's an arrow right here and the top dead center. Anyway, that's where I'm at. And so I broke all of the cam sprockets loose, as you can see, with the timing chain on, with just a screwdriver in my flex plate, so that I could have tension on it, because I don't have the Subaru tool to lock the engine, and basically that's all it does, is locks the flex plate. Yeah, so I need to pull these tensioners off first, and when you pull the tensioners you want to make sure to not let the barrel fall out. Here's one of the tensioners. So this guy will kind of pop up as it'll push out as you take it off, and so you don't want to let that fall out. So you do this side first, because this is the timing chain that's up first. So you do right here, and then you come over here and you do these guys over here, and you can probably see it better on this one. So you do the tensioner first, and then you do this support, and then this one, and then this one. So anyway, follow what the factory service manual says to do. This is for a 2005 Outback. I'm on page 2585. So 2585, it's MEH6DO44, and I'm on the timing chain assembly removal. So you get it down to the timing chain, and then you come down here and we pull that guy off first. Pull off the side one, pull off the top tensioner, and pull off the bottom tensioner. And then that's it. Then you pull off the other one. Anyway, it's really self-explanatory. I'll put the link to all of the service manuals where I downloaded it in the description. So just click there, and then you'll be able to navigate to whatever engine you're using in whatever year. It's probably going to be the same, but it's always best to use your specific year. It helps a ton, and this gives you all of the information that most people just kind of Google or ask about on forums and may or may not be correct. So get it all directly from the manufacturer. It's free, so might as well use it. Okay, I got the whole timing setup off, and set up over here in roughly the shape it's supposed to be in. Just, you know, I mean, I have the service manual, so I know where it's supposed to go, but this is kind of handy to have. While you're doing this, you do want to inspect all of these little plastic runners, because if they're chipped or anything, you want to replace them. If they're fine, I mean, I'm not planning on replacing them unless they're busted. None of them look to be in bad shape at all. They are pretty rough plastic, and so, I mean, they look just fine. But you do want to replace those if they're chipped or broken or anything like that. I think you can only get those from the dealership. So make sure to check those over and make sure your timing is all set, because obviously you don't want to have any issues with your timing. Pretty important component. Anyway, next we're going to come down in here and pull off my water pump. There's 4 bolts. Anyway, once the water pump is off, I can come around and take off all of these bolts here and take the rear cover off and actually start on to getting the heads off. Finally, after all this time. So yeah, a lot more in-depth on this end than an EJ25 or 2.2 or even the 1.8, but I mean, once it's back together, it should never have issues. So that is the plan. Okay, I got the water pump out. So there is a little kind of a trick to do it. It kind of sits in there like that, and you can run bolts down in there if you want, but all I did was come in here and just pop, pop, pop. It didn't take much force, and it just popped down like that, and I pulled it out. It looks freaking disgusting, and like down in there it's just full of gunk. So yeah, that's nasty. I wonder if it was the water pump that died on me. That'd be kind of nice to just have to replace a water pump and be done. You know? Anyway, I'm gonna take a better look at that. Whoever took it off the last time didn't replace all of the water pump seals. I don't know. Anyway, now I got to take the oil pump off. Here's the oil pump. It has a couple of these guys. 1, 2, 3. Oh, they're actually even numbered. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. These are like a 4.4 millimeter hex, and I don't have one of those, and so I either need to go get one. I just need to go get one because I don't want to mess with more strip bolts. Anyway, that's where I'm at. Okay, so here is the oil pump ready to come off almost. I need to go run and get the right size hex bit for 1, 2, 3, and 4. That's a 4.4 millimeter hex head, and I only have whole numbers right now, so I need to go get a better set. Anyway, I do have each one, besides those flat-headed ones, removed, so you can see the length and where they go. So all of these upper ones are the same length. They have a longer section of non-threaded, and then these two down here on the bottom are the two that are different. They have a slightly they aren't fully threaded, but there's less than on these other ones. And then over here, 12 through 15, well, not 12 through 15, 15, 16, 17, and 12 are all really short ones. So if you end up pulling all those out and need to know where they go, you can look in the service manual, but you can also look here. So that might be just for mine, but figure it'll help somebody. Okay, so same thing with the rear cover. Most of all the bolts are the same size, but there are two different sizes. So all of them over here are all the same size. All of them down here are the same size. And then when you come over here, you get to two sizes. So 38, I guess 31 through 38 are all slightly longer, just like all the rest of them. And then 39 through 45 are short. So don't mix those ones up, and at least know where it starts and stops. It is kind of useful. There's a little kind of a hash right here, and so you know that right here and right here on that other side is a different size bolt. And I'm pretty sure these ones here there are a few different sizes. So these ones are obviously a different size, even with that little RTV nub. They're a different size. And so this longer one came out down here, and the shorter one came out of 34. So those two are different sized. All these ones are the same. Let's see these guys over here. I got Mondo RTV on the back side of them, but let's see. And these guys are shorter as well. So the longest ones go in 5, 6, 7. I think that's 8, 9, 10, maybe. I'm not positive on that. But these guys are long. These guys are short. Well, okay. So long, medium, and short. Okay, so keep track of that. Separate the bolts if you need to, but make sure they go back in that sequence so you don't have any issues. You obviously don't want to break through any oil passages or galleyways in your engine block, and you are dealing with aluminum and steel bolts, and so this is not what's going to give if you're putting too long a one in a shorter hole. I ended up just having to drill out those 1, 2, 3, and 4. Worked pretty well. I used an 1/8 inch stubby drill bit, and then a number 1. Oh, I guess this thing doesn't have numbers. Oh yeah, it does. A number 2. Yeah. A number 2 bolt extractor. One of these ones. So it came out pretty well. 3 of them I cut the heads off, and one of them I pulled out full. But I'm gonna be able to take these, this one and these two, to the hardware store and buy new ones, which is good. This is a really goofy. I think it is a 4.4 millimeter hex head, and I don't know where to buy that. I went to 2 hardware stores. Well, I went to 2 tool stores, and they didn't have anything. the closest I could find was just an Allen set that's a 4.5 millimeter, and that was too big. So yeah, I'll be able to take both of these in to a hardware store and replace them, because I have the full thing. They came out really nice once the heads were off, and so not too big of a deal. Anyway, there's these ones which are larger, and just to again give you an idea, there's two different sizes. So long one, 12 and 19 are long ones. I don't know what number that is. Short, short, short. Okay? So 12 and 19 are the long ones, and then there's 13 over here. 13 is the short. So, I think that should do it. Make one more sweep. I think that's all of the bolts that are hanging out. Yeah. And then obviously there's these four. That's 1, 2, and 3, and 4. Not of the oil pump, but 1, 2, 3, and 4 of the rear cover. And those ones you should be able to tell which ones they are, because they're not going to be oily and they're going to be kind of dirty or whatever, or slightly oxidized. But that's all of them. I'll be able to pull this guy off and be on my way. I'm going to stick these in a baggie. And okay, so I got all the bolts out and I pulled the oil pump off. If you are drilling that out, try and take some compressed air or brake clean, or I would do compressed air, and spray down the metal shavings to get the metal shavings out of the way, because you don't want them landing in your oil pump. If it does happen, it's not the end of the world, because you can pull it off. I'm gonna wash this off and then coat it in oil before I put it back on. But like the front cover, there's a bunch of oil shavings, so it'll need cleaned off before it goes back on, just to make sure there's no oil in there. Obviously, that's kind of the worst place ever to have an oil chip, is right there on your oil pump, because that's just gonna sit there and grind away at it as it pumps. So, yeah, do that. Then what you ideally want to do is take a rubber mallet or a plastic mallet and just kind of tap here. And then what I'm doing is just taking a pry bar. It's not a pry bar, but it's close enough, and just really lightly pulling back right here. Down in here is a good pry spot. Right here. Right over here. Anyway, I did that already, and I got the top part of this popped off, because there's RTV around the whole thing, and so you need to pop off that RTV. You can come in here, maybe, and kind of pull a little right there, and now I'm going to get underneath the car and kind of pull it like that. The last thing you want to do is break this. It is aluminum, and aluminum doesn't bend. Well, cast aluminum doesn't bend, and so be really easy on it. We don't want to bust it, because if you break it, I mean, that's gonna be like $300 for a new one from Subaru. So don't break it. Be patient, and it'll come off. Oh, actually, there's two more bolts that I totally forgot to get. Yeah. Okay, there we go. Okay, it is going to puke a little bit of coolant and oil. There we go. Pull him out. And there, finally, is the front of the engine. And then there's a few O-rings. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I think the head gasket kit comes with those. I'll need to check though, because if not, I need to get those probably locally, because I won't have time. There's some more yummy stuff. Anyway, there's the front of the engine. Finally. Yeah, looking good. And then here's the back of the back. Ideally, I would like to take this and find a sink and just wash it down with hot water and a nice bristle brush, get it totally clean and ready to go back on the car. Then take some time with a razor blade and cut off all the old RTV. I don't know if I have a sink. I might have a sink that I'll be able to do that in, because it'd be nice to have both of these pieces completely fresh and clean and ready to go back on the car when I need them to. There's another O-ring. There's another O-ring. There's another O-ring. So these O-rings you need to replace. They sit right here. Oops, that guy fell off. But I'm sure you get the idea. They're just a bunch of oil passage O-rings, and they're crushed to fit. So that one's not sticking out any far at all, and so you need to replace all those. Hopefully my gasket set has those in it, and if they don't, I'm gonna see if I can find them locally, or maybe just go to like Ace Hardware. They have a really good selection of O-rings, and take those in and see if I can find some that are exact fits. Anyway, I'm gonna call it good for today. I think it's about 4 o'clock. It's Friday, and yeah, day 5 of the head gasket build, and I'm finally down to the block. This is kind of where I was expecting to be on Tuesday. By Tuesday night, this is where I wanted to be. And I mean, taking off the timing belt did take a lot of time, and I probably have 3 hours into it today to get all the timing stuff off, and the oil pump and the water pump. Maybe not even 3 hours. I was talking to my brother on the phone for a while about the water pump, seeing his opinions on if it could be just a water pump issue that's giving it issues, and basically it could be, but at this point I'm close enough to be ready to replace the head gaskets anyway that you might as well, right? So I mean, the head gaskets themselves aren't that expensive. The time to do the head gaskets is going to be another few hours, but it wouldn't be worth it to put the new water pump on and put it all back together and to see if it overheats. Because if it didn't, that would be another day's worth of work pulling everything back off. And anyway, so I'm going to go ahead and just replace the head gaskets. It should be alright. I mean, if nothing else, it's going to be a really good peace of mind that everything on this engine is set, that it's done properly. I won't have to worry about any other mechanics being in it and messing it up like they had already. And mostly I just need to be patient. My cousin's really understanding. He's being a really great help with this. I mean, 45 degrees in here, and it's really cold outside today. I don't know what it is about today, but it seems colder than it is. So I'm really grateful to be able to have the shop to work in. When I come back to it, I don't know if I'm gonna come back to it tomorrow or not. But when I get back to it, it's time to pull the valve covers off and to disassemble the cams. I'll have more space, I'll move all that stuff and I'll assemble the cams over there, and then I'll be able to take the heads off and then resurface the heads, put the head gaskets back on, we put the heads on, cams back in, valve covers, new plugs, and then hopefully by then I'll have all those bolts that I ordered. Put the back plate back on, new water pump, clean off the oil pump, put the oil pump on, reassemble my timing components, put the front cover back on, torque it all down right, and then reassemble the upper part of the engine, the intake manifold, and all the accessories, and I'll be done. Really, the hardest part's just going to be, well, the most time-consuming part. I'm not even going to say that, because it might be more time-consuming to put it all back together than to resurface the heads. But resurfacing the heads is the part that I'm least looking forward to, and not even the heads. The part that I'm least looking forward to is resurfacing the actual block with it in the car. And I mean, it's to here, so I do have some good space to work in there. So it's not going to be the end of the world, but it's definitely going to be kind of a pain. But check out some of my other videos. I have some other cool Outback stuff. I have some lifted Outback videos, cone filter install, and then I have my Legacy GT, the turbo build on that. I did a manual swap in it, a rear-wheel drive conversion, turned it into a little drift car. So lots of good content. Check it out, or yeah. Hit that subscribe button, and we'll see you next week.